Update 27 Empyrean released on PC during the Game Awards in 2019. This update has since launched on all platforms including Nintendo Switch, and on PC it's been live for over a month. This video is dedicated to the patch notes that were released on launch, with follow-up hotfixes getting their own dedicated videos afterwards. Without further ado, to access Empyrean content you have two options. If players have not created a Railjack via the Rising Tide quest that starts after the construction of the dry dock in your dojo and after building Cephalon Psi, you can join other players' matches via the Railjack tab in the top right of the navigation screen and then selecting a public node. However, before that becomes available, you will need an Archwing. For those that did build their Railjack via the previously mentioned quest, you will first need to go to the dry dock and your Railjack and head to the Reliquary Drive located in the back of the ship. As shown on screen, interact with it and it will start a short quest that will end with the Railjack powered up, and that will allow you to start your Empyrean gameplay. To load missions as the host with your own Railjack, you will need to go to the navigation panel shown on screen and select your missions. This is the only way to launch Empyrean missions as the host with your Railjack. You must be within it. You can transfer quickly to your Railjack from the orbiter via this prompt at the back of your ship, or by the menu option as shown on screen. When in your Railjack, you'll also have the option to return to your orbiter in the menu. Your Railjack's weapons and systems can be upgraded to Mark 1, Mark 2, and later Mark 3 via the research panel. However, you will first need to research each part's predecessor. The research is clan-wide, so anyone within your clan can donate towards completion, and once the research for a part has been completed, anyone within your clan can duplicate the blueprint, get it, and then start the construction of the blueprint, and then go on working to the next part. Players can also acquire weapons and systems via wreckage acquired through Railjack missions. Wreckage will require the player to repair them before they can be used, but it is extremely important to note the wreckage items have RNG stats that will differ with each part found. Each part and Avionic, which will be mentioned soon, will be a part of a manufacturer house. Those houses being House Vauban, which fills the role of cheap parts, Vida, which fills the middle ground, and House Key, which fills the role of the top-of-the-line part manufacturer for Railjack stuff. Players do have a choice to scrap Avionics or their wreckage parts if it's not what they want, and by doing that, they will gain Dirac. Dirac is the Endo-like resource for Empyrean content. If you had already invested resources into repairing one of those pieces of wreckage, and you later decide to scrap it mid-repair, you can get your invested resources back upon cancellation and destruction. There are 30 wreckage slots in total, and if you go over this limit, any new wreckage that you acquire will be converted into Dirac, and the part will be destroyed. You can modify and customize your Railjack via the shown terminal in your dry dock. The first tab covers your shields, engines, and reactors. The second tab is armaments. It covers your Railjack's weapons. The third tab, Avionics, covers your Railjack's mods and stats. It's at this point I should note that Empyrean features new damage and status effects exclusive to the game type. As stated by DE within the patch notes, they follow. Particle damage results in a tear status effect. Tears holes into the hull of the enemy ship, allowing players to deal increased damage. Ballistic damage results in concuss status effect. Concuss the crew aboard the ship. Enemy has reduced aim and damage. Plasma damage results in a decompress status effect. Puncture holes into the armor and shields of the enemy ship, decreasing the overall shield and armor value. Incendiary damage results in a sear status effect. Rounds burn through the hull of the ship, dealing damage over time. Ionic damage results in a scramble status effect, temporarily disable the enemy's flight controls. Chem damage results in an intoxicate status effect, confuses the enemy's pilot, enemy will target anyone around them. And frost damage results in an immobilize status effect, where the ship controls freeze, which causes the ship to fly forward to a stop. Now back to the Avionics screen. You have 3 Battle Avionics slots, and DE describes Battle Avionics as onboard systems that are unique to the Railjack and other Railjack abilities. There are 9 integrated Avionics slots, and they affect your Railjack's weapons, shields, and overall stats, and lastly you have 3 Tactical Avionics slots, and Tactical Avionics are for unique in-battle options. Avionics are the modding system for your Railjack, so you'll be able to get Avionics via playing Railjack, pick them up, and then you can slot those into their corresponding slot that I just mentioned in this screen. Each avionics slot can be upgraded through die rack and the upgrade grid tab. You can see the rank of your avionics slots by the 3 diamonds underneath the slot, and each slot can be upgraded a total of 3 times. Avionics themselves can also be upgraded via the Upgrade Avionic tab, once again through die rack. Now the 4th tab is under the title Payload, and it acts as your Railjack's foundry. You can craft resources here before you go out on a mission, as that will help you in those missions. Players will need to craft Revelites so they can repair the ship in battle using the Omni tool, Flux Energy so that they can use the battle avionics, munitions so that they can launch ordnance, and dome charges that will be needed to use the forward artillery. The payload screen when you're in mission can also be accessed at the back of your Railjack on the bottom floor as shown on screen. Now the 5th tab. It has been titled Intrinsics, and this screen covers the main progression and affinity system for Empyrean. By playing Empyrean, you will earn intrinsic points, and you can use these points to upgrade ranks with each role. Each intrinsic role rank increases your viability within the given role and unlocks positions for use aboard your Railjack. You can view each rank of the role and their rewards by hovering over an intrinsic and right-clicking, at least on PC. Each intrinsic point used will give you 1500 mastery points for a total of 60,000 mastery points when you max out each intrinsic rank role. As for the purpose of each role, tactical is for those that want to focus on the overall battle and use abilities. Piloting obviously focuses on piloting the Railjack. Gunnery focuses on the weapons, engineering focuses on repairs and support roles. A 5th role will be coming sometime in 2020, and that is the command role. This role will focus on assisting solo players with AI ship companions and crewmates that will, make it easier. The 6th and final tab on this screen is dedicated to your Railjack's customization. Here you can rename your ship, place a glyph, change its skin if you purchased one, adjust the wear and tear, and apply your color set to the outside and inside of your ship. Each Warframe will have a unique ability that players activate via the tactical menu, which itself can be activated in mission aboard your ship by pressing the L key on PC. These unique abilities per Warframe are shown on screen, but the activation of these abilities will cost you flux energy, so if you want to use them, keep that in mind, as well as keep what Warframe you're using in mind as well. Throughout your Empyrean missions, the ship will get damaged. If the ship's health takes damage, you'll need to use the Omni tool given to you at the end of the previously mentioned quest and located within your gear wheel to fix it. The areas that you'll need to clear will be marked as a red flame icon on your minimap. You will also have yellow colored flames and a lightning bolt on there as well, but the ones you want to focus on are the red flames. If you don't clear them, and the timer on the HUD, which is on the top left hand side of your screen, you'll see a little countdown. If that reaches 0 and you have not stopped these flames and impacts to your ship, you will fail the mission. It will outright just fail the mission. The Omni tool and repairs will cost you Revelite, which is the aforementioned resource that you need to craft in your Railjack's foundry. There are new resources that came with this update. They include Isos, Akrux, capacitors, Gallus rods, comms, Stracons, Brachoid, Kesslers, Fresnels, titanium, nullstones, and asterite. Former blueprints, captura scenes, and the sentient arm canal that we saw in previous dev streams over the past couple of years are possible rewards, whether that be from the missions themselves or from the sentient ship and secret quest. You can also get an ephemera, which I'll mention in a later hotfix video because they changed the way that works. Now for market items. 2 new weapons were introduced with the update, with the blueprints for both dropping from enemies located on Grineer galleons in Railjack missions. The Quellaw is a primary weapon that costs 240 platinum, and the Pennant is another two-handed Nakana that costs 275 platinum. Both of these weapons are a part of the Empyrean Grand Bundle that costs 820 platinum, and that comes with the Sigma series armor set, so the shoulder, leg, and chest plate, which by themselves cost 100 plat, the Sigma series Sindana by itself, 100 plat, the Sigma series Kavat armor, which costs 90 platinum by itself, the Sigma series Sugatra, which costs 15 platinum, the Zundi pistol skin, which costs 115 platinum by itself, and the last item in the collection, which is the Sigma series Parazon skin, that by itself costs 50 platinum. Excalibur Deluxe is now live as well, and by itself you can purchase it for 195 platinum. Or if you want the Zato collection that comes with the Oku, Nakana, and Zato Sugatra, it will cost you 200 255 platinum. Please keep in mind, if you buy the skin individually, you will have to pay full price for the collection at a later date if you want the Nakana skin and Sugatra. The Zato collection comes to operators as a separate pack, and it includes the Zato Oculus, earpiece, and facial accessory, all for 50 platinum. The Excalibur Zato animations can also be purchased for 50 platinum each as well in the Arsenal animation tab. Railjacks have two skins available for purchase, those being the Sun Gem skin, which costs 225 platinum, and the Caballero skin, which costs 225 platinum as well. Next up was the addition of Avionic Bundles in the market, each costing 65 platinum, and they offer 4 Avionics. These are under the titles of Vidar Bundle, Zektki Bundle, and Vauban Bundle. With the release of this update, DE have stated that they've rebalanced arc guns in Arcwing mode only, but have changed the submersible use of the weapons to reflect that of ground-based use. As for the rebalance, DE has made it so all hit-scan arc guns are now projectile-based weapons when used in space. DE has increased the fall-off range of Arcwing guns from 200 to 400 meters to 300 to 600 meters. They've also increased the minimum fall-off range from 10% to 50% and increased the projectile speed of the Kuva Aenga when in space. 2 new achievements have also been added. Those are I Am the Captain Now, where you have to pilot a hijacked enemy cruise ship during a Railjack mission, and From Out of the Sun, where you have to shoot down 100 enemies while in Railjack. Next up, Vauban's Flechette Orb damage multiplier now scales based on the average enemy level in range. The barges within the dry dock are now solid and you can land on them. The Might Rachnoid spawn time between broods will now increase over time if the Exploiter Orb's vents aren't dealt with to address endless spawning abuse. They have reduced the input lag of Universal Blink when using a controller, and they fixed the blink binding not being automatic, plus made improvements towards the algorithm of dynamic vendor items to guarantee even appearances between those items. Riven Disposition has also been changed, so each individual weapon variant now has their own disposition value, rather than the overall weapon type holding one. So the Kuva, Prime, Vandal, Wraith, etc. versions of a weapon each have their own disposition value. For primary weapons, the following changes were made to those disposition values. The Aceltra went down to 0.8, the Argonac went down to 1.25, the Boar went up to 1.4, the Boltor went up to 1.2, the Telos Boltor went to 1.1, Boltor Prime went to 1.1, the Bratton went to 1.3, the Mark 1 Bratton went to 1.35, Bratton Vandal went to 1.25, the Burston went to 1.4, the Cernos 1.25, Rakta Cernos to 1.2, Cernos Prime to 1.2, Daiku to 1.25, Derot to 1.35, Dread to 1.25, Fulman to 0.65, Galaxian to 1.3, Gorgon to 1.4, Gorgon Wraith to 1.35, Grokata to 1.25, Prisma Grokata to 1.2, Grinlock to 1.3, Heck to 1.1, Vacor Heck to 1, Hema to 1.3, Ignis to 0.6, Karak to 1.35, Comorex to 1.1, Lunka to 0.9, Latron to 1.4, Latron Wraith to 1.35, Lens to 0.95, Nagantaka 1.25, Optical Vandal to 1, Paris to 1.35, Mark 1 Paris to 1.4, Penta to 1.35, Quanta to 1.4, Rubico to 0.7, Simulor to 1.2, Cyanoid Simulor to 1.15, Snipetron to 1.3, Soma to 1, Sober Prime to 0.95, Stradivar to 1.05, Strun to 1.4, Mark 1 Strun to 1.45, Supra to 0.9, Super Vandal to 0.85, Sybaris to 1.2, Dex Sybaris to 1.15, Sybaris Prime to 1.1, Sonora to 1.1, Tetra to 1.5, Tiburon to 0.9, Tigris to 0.65, Sancti Tigris to 0.6, Vectus to 0.95, Vectus Primes at 0.85, Volcar to 1.45, and Zuge to 1.2. As for the secondary weapons that saw disposition changes, they are the following. The Afuris went to 1.45, Akbolto to 0.95, Telos Akbolto to 0.9, Akbolto Prime to 0.85, Akbronco to 1.35, Akbronco Prime to 1.3, Akchagara went to 0.95, Akchagara Prime went to 0.85, Aklex went to 0.9, Aksamadi went to 1.25, Akstiletto went to 0.6, Akstiletto Prime went to 0.55, Akvasto went to 1.25, Angstrom to 1.35, Arca Cisco went to 1.05, Ballistica went to 1.2, Raptor Ballistica went to 1.15, Ballistica Prime went to 1.15, Bronco went to 1.4, Castanas went to 1.4, Cyanex went to 0.8, Cycron went to 1.2, Detron 1.1, Dual Sestra 1.35, Dual Toxicist went to 1.35, Mark 1 Furus went to 1.4, Gammacorp 1.05, Cyanoid Gammacorp went to 1, Gaze went to 0.9, Haiku went to 1.2, Haiku Prime went to 1.15, Hystrix went to 1.15, Nell went to 1.25, Colstar went to 1.3, Lato went to 1.4, Lex went to 1.15, Lex Prime 1.1, Marelock 1.05, Vacor Marelock 1, Ocucor 1.15, Pandero 1.05, Plix 1.15, Piranha 0.7, Piranha Prime 0.6, Rattleguts 0.7, Sicarus 1.2, Sonicor 1.05, Spectra Vandal 1.4, Spira 1.2, Stubber 1.35, Tombfinger 0.65, Prisma Twin Gremlins 1.15, Twin Vipers 1.45, Tysus 1.45, Vasto 1.4, and Viper 1.4. As for the optimizations, DE has improved network protocols to improve matchmaking presence and in-game invitations in certain Eastern European regions without open access to the internet. They have optimized hitches when joining popular chat channels when you have a large number of friends or are a part of a large clan. A micro-optimization was made to Oberon Prime's effects, a small optimization and a fix to a potential crash in rendering. Some micro-optimizations were made to memory management to save a few megabytes on large levels, some micro-optimizations to AI avoidance and rendering. They fixed a memory leak that could occur when certain types of lights were in view, a slow leak that would degrade performance in missions like Sanctuary Onslaught, and they fixed missing textures on the leg of the infested Ancients. As for the fixes that came in Update 27 Empyrean, they follow. DE fixed being able to start the Rising Tide quest before completing Second Dream if you set it as your active quest from the World State window. An inability to install Cephalon Psi in the dry dock after initiating the Rising Tide quest while in Dojo. Fixed a loss of functionality when attempting to modify your Parazon on another player's orbiter. A Kuvalich having the attention span of a squirrel when surrounded by Nidus's maggots. Kuva not appearing text on the end of mission screen. The World State window's next objective panel directing players to the Mars-Ceres junction before Mars and the Phobos junction, the Grenier Guardsmen blocking 100% of damage. They fixed enemies like Sentients being put into a lifted status and playing wonky or popping animations because they weren't set up to ragdoll or rise from ragdoll. They fixed Ancient Healer Spectres not teleporting to players in the Orvalis or Plains of Eidolon, Kuro Drive hacking consoles not appearing for clients, the Vitruvian power surge during the Sacrifice quest causing the orbiter wear and tear to strobe as if it were a light, the orbiter floor not matching the amount of wear or tear as the rest of the orbiter when at the lowest value. They made fixes towards elemental effects being misaligned when using a Zor skin, but some alignment issues still remain. The Asteros sword and shield skin being opened by default when loading into a mission. Fixes were made towards the Cumulus Dana clipping through numerous warframes. Text being crunched for some languages in the Kuvalich UI when it spawns. Collision volumes in the orbiter arsenal wall. File path text when attempting to add a friend on a newly created account, a script error when removing your cyst, loot appearing under the floor in the Corpus Gas City tileset, a level hole in a Plains of Eidolon cave, numerous level holes across the Grenier Asteroid and Grenier Fortress tilesets, and a script error from Anaris' Undying passive. That was the patch notes for Update 27 Empyrean. It's late because, well, I haven't played Empyrean since its release. I took a break. It was a great break. Anyway, this isn't what I do usually. Whatever, more patch note videos, badges of 5 for the hotfixes will come after this, and then last will be Warframe and the usual stuff, like I've said in the previous 2 videos that I've done since I come back to usual after I do a few catch-up videos. Thank you for watching, see you guys next time.